welcome to Legal Help Live. I'm Steve Solomon. I'm a lawyer in Southern California, and
I'm Ryan Kroll. I'm also a lawyer in Southern California.
That's frightening, man.
Very frightening.
Wow, back from a vacation, and
I am.
And we were really lucky to get you back.
I just say get rid of me for 2 weeks.
And for those of you who are interested in discrimination or job problems, or whether you're laid off, being paid the right wages, or whether you have an employment problem, we've got an educational website up there. It's called MyBossStinks.com. Just like the words are, MyBossStinks.com. You get onto a special website. It tells you all about discrimination, disability, whether you're getting paid overtime, etc. MyBossStinks.com. So if you have some questions that we don't answer on the show, MyBossStinks.com, which I think is kind of interesting. Or you can call 555-BAD-BOSS, which I thought was even more. We're lawyers. We're out here to talk about your legal problems, trying to help you with issues. So what's going on, Ryan? What?
In the law, well, there's an interesting new First Amendment cases out there.
First Amendment.
And you're familiar with the First Amendment.
Is that still viable here in California?
In California it is. Maybe in the South it's not as much. But you never know. But the interesting is that it's being filed by the cigarette companies.
Who?
The cigarette companies, the Marlboros.
Oh, cigarette companies.
Yeah,
okay.
They're now being required to have even more warnings on their cartons, and warning people about the hazards of smoking and why cigarettes are bad. And so they're now claiming that this is an impeachment of their First Amendment rights to be able to say what they want, because it's so limiting in what it says in their own cartons, and they're so restricted from promoting their own product that their First Amendment rights are no longer valid, and they're being violated.
Well, I think we have killed more people. Well, I know we have. We've killed more people by smoking than we have ever had by the use of the death penalty in California and even in Texas and every state in the union. So how they can say that, quote, cigarettes are not deadly, I thought we got over that. You know, they don't have a First Amendment right to talk about to sell the killer products, do they?
Well, they have a First Amendment right to say to sell their own product. It is commercial speech. They can't lie. They can't put a false statement down there, but there's no reason why, if they're selling their product, they can't make truthful statements about their products. And to have, maybe one small portion of it, say a Surgeon General's warning, is one thing, but the new warnings and restrictions are so over the top. They're saying they're no longer able to even sell their own product. They're basically just having to advertise their product's deadly.
Well, maybe the real solution to the problem is just abolish the product, make it illegal, and get it out of the country completely. They can sell their products as they are in other parts of the world, and then they don't have a First Amendment problem because it's then a, quote, criminal activity, and therefore you can't advertise it, I would suspect. I think that every state in the United States, through the Attorney General's office, every public interest law firm, every person who cared, fought very arduously to get them to put these restrictions on the cigarettes. And I would think that they're going to have to go a long, high road to hell to get this to change. And I would suspect that they'll lose that issue.
Well,
what do you think?
I don't think they necessarily will. I think the problem is the initial warnings and restrictions were necessary. It was, at the time, people maybe didn't know how harmful cigarettes were. But this is 20 years later, and these restrictions are going way over the top. They're going further than they ever went before. They're basically saying if you have one cigarette, you're going to die. Now, that's not truthful. That's the problem, is there's such a reaction to all smoking that people have gone over the top and now want to ban it everywhere. You want to ban it in the entire United States. This is not what the United States is about. It's not what the Constitution is about. They're allowed to have their First Amendment right to sell their own product as long as it's truthful. If they want to have a warning on there, fine. A small warning that has very scientific that states this can endanger your health is one thing, but the statements now are just one smoking you're dead, and that's just not the truth.
I would probably make the warning go even further. I would probably put the warning on every cigarette. I would make it in. I would put skull and crossbones on every cigarette. I would do a lot more than is being done now. I have no great heart feeling that they're losing any money. It is a killer product, in my humble opinion. It is addictive, and as you can go, we used to go by and see those hundreds and hundreds of people dying every day on those billboards, and you watch some of the public health commercials that they're required to put out, and in my humble opinion, it requires a ban. I think they're just lucky they got away with a ban. Ban, maybe abolishment would have been an appropriate remedy. And then you free speech liberal individuals who want to put this product of dispersion of death out there would have something really to say if we abolish it.
Well, it's the liberals that want to get rid of the product. I think it's the constitutional right for people to make their own decision to have a cigarette. Do I think it's healthy? Absolutely not. Would I encourage anyone to do it? Absolutely not.
Well, cities are banning even the use of the product in public places. For instance, in Santa Monica, many public places you can't use it. In Beverly Hills, many public places you can't use it. So if we can ban the product, you don't think we can make them put a warning label on it?
You can ban the product in public, but if someone wants to smoke in their own house, they're a Darwin
Well, they can
product.
get...
I mean, Charles Darwin would love these people to sit in their own house, smoke it all day, have a great time.
If they're offended by the language, then all they have to do when they go home is take it out of the carton and put it in a little bag, and then they can go around and be dumb and dumber and smoke themselves to death. But keep their windows closed. Don't live next door to people who don't want to have the smoke. But I don't really, I understand, I appreciate your argument. I just think you're playing wrong.
Of course you do.
1-800-405-4222. If you want to, who was it? Smoke that cigarette. Was that Johnny Cash or was that?
I don't think it was Johnny Cash, but.
Okay, those of you out there, who was that? Smoke that cigarette. I think that would be perfect for this situation. But don't smoke it in my way. 1-800-405-4222. Landlord-tenant problems, parking tickets, traffic tickets, accident cases. MyBossStinks.com if you're into discrimination. You can tweet us. You can Twitter us. If you want to talk about it, we'll take your call. Immigration.
And you can tweet us at Legal Help Live is the message, and we'll get it right here on our desk, so we'll be happy to talk to you about that as well.
So, one of the interesting things that I think has been going on lately is the whole issue on Prop 13 and taxes, property taxes. Now, we all know that many governments are having huge financial problems.
Sure.
So the move now is to, quote, widen the tax base. And for those of you who are over or under 30 years of age, the history of Prop 13 is that people were being taxed out of their houses. Property taxes became so high that somebody would have a house, and as they got older and were living on, quote, Social Security, which is probably enough to buy a couple of cans of dog food a month and a few other things, were being taxed out of their houses. So the voters of California limited property taxes to basically about 1.25 times the price that you paid for your house. And it could go up every year by that amount at the maximum. So people weren't losing their homes at that time because of quote, tax increases. Now people are trying to look for any way they can to take money out of your pocket to try and spend it responsibly or irresponsibly. And I can give you some comments on that. So now I see that the mayor of Los Angeles wants to support the position of doing away with Prop 13 for commercial properties. So that would be apartment houses and office buildings, etc. You think that's a great way to spend our legal resources?
It's a great way to bring more funds into the city, that's for sure.
And
there's no reason why not to. This is a time of economic crisis and that everyone needs to pitch in. And I think that these tax breaks were created on a different mindset of a different time as to when counties, cities needed money. Now the demand is higher, and so everyone does have to sacrifice.
So I see, not only do you want to allow the use of cigarettes without warnings on them, you now want to tax the older people in America, the retired people, the retired annuitants. You want to take any restrictions off their property taxes and make them pay more taxes so they can get in the bread lines and lose their houses and put them on the streets.
No, this This is regarding commercial property.
Oh, you're only in favor for commercial property.
Take away from commercial property. We're not going to lose your house. It's commercial property. That's not affecting anyone. This is affecting people that maybe they are of senior age. Maybe they expected this to stay forever. But you're not going to lose your home. And that goes right back to the same thing of everyone should have to pitch in. There's millions of people out there right now that are pitching in by being homeless, by losing their house, by losing their jobs. To tax a little bit more on someone's commercial property, it's not asking too much at all. It's the bare minimum.
But do you think it's a slippery slope where we end up, the next thing is once you can do it commercially, then you'll say, well, you know, it's really not that bad. Everybody needs to pitch in. Let's make sure that we raise the taxes on people's home property taxes. Isn't the better way to be much more fiscally responsible and spend the money in a different thing? I mean, I can remember not too long ago when a large number of the red light cameras, which were supposedly revenue-raising things, were not turned on in the city of Los Angeles. I now note that that the bus benches, which the city leased out to a commercial enterprise, they decided not to renew the contract. They didn't have another contract in effect, so the bus bench guy has now removed his benches in 2 or 3 councilmanic districts in the city of LA. So you want to give more money to this type of operation?
Unfortunately, yes. It's our government. Until we start electing better officials, then yes. I don't want to see people out there homeless, and I don't want to see people out there struggling to survive.
1-800-405-4222. We've got some lines open in Los Angeles, San Fernando Valley. If you get on the air today, you will get a dinner or a lunch for 2 at a restaurant of our choosing. 1-800-405-4222. We're going to a break now. This is Legal Help Live, and we'll be right back.
Stay tuned for more legal